Notice is hereby given of a regular meeting of the City of San Angelo Development Corporation to be held on March 11th, 2026 at 8:30 a.m. at the East Mezzanine of City Hall, 72 West College Avenue, San Angelo, Texas, for the purpose of considering the following agenda items. We went ahead and called this meeting to order. Up next is we'll have the prayer by Director Lassiter.
Morning, friends. Please pray with me. Heavenly Father, we are so thankful for our many blessings. Thank you especially for the rain. You know we need some more. Please watch over us as we do our work today. Help us make decisions for the greater good of you and the glory of you and the greater good of our community. Please be with our troops who protect us abroad and those who protect us at home. We've got a lot to protect ourselves from. Finally, Lord, forgive us when we fail you. We're trying. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Appreciate that. Next, we'll go into public comment. Issues or items that are not on the agenda may be raised by the public at this time. Citizens should speak from the podium, begin by stating their name, and limit remarks to less than 3 minutes. Board members may request that a discussed item be placed on future agenda. The board takes public comment on all regular agenda items during the discussion of those items. Do we have any public comment?
We have no public comment.
Okay, for any items. Perfect.
There it is.
So with that, we'll roll into the consent agenda. I've got 2 items on there. A, consider approving the regular meeting minutes for February 11th, 2026. And B, consider approving the strategic planning workshop meeting minutes for February 11th, 2026.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion on the table. Do I have a second? Second, Director Barton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll now go into the regular agenda. Item A, update and discussion regarding the San Angelo Chamber of Commerce Economic Development position, current project status, and proposed marketing and recruitment efforts. Presentation by Michael Looney.
All right, good morning, everybody. Michael Looney, Vice President of Economic Development with the San Angelo Chamber of Commerce, serving our colleagues and friends over at the Costa DC. Appreciate the opportunity to come out and see you guys this morning and give you an overview. I typed up a brief on the activity that's occurred since the last time we met. Some of its follow-ons to projects that we already have underway, which you're probably aware of. But just to give you an indication on external industrial recruitment, this is the companies that we are working on trying to bring into San Angelo. We're making really good progress on the projects that you see listed. Probably notable is Project Jefferson. This is the 25-acre purchase at the industrial park, which we may be able to speak about later on with some more details. And that is a project where a speculative warehouse office distribution developer has their eye on 25 acres. That process is already happening with Bob and his team, and that's out at the industrial park. A company came in right around the time that discussion was happening that wants a very large portion of that, and that is a metals company. That is a company that actually recycles solar panels, so photovoltaic panels that take up pretty much all of that 25 acres. So as that continues to progress, we've had several conversations in the past couple of weeks with that company. Very, very old 1880s era was when they were established. It's a metals company. It's actually a mining company. And that is progressing very well. That's probably going to be about 10 jobs. They will pay well. They did give us a range that's above what those types of positions would have commonly, just because finding that type of skilled labor, very specialized labor. So we expect that should close. I'm going to say probably within the next 45 days or so. We should have everything buttoned up with that. Bob, did you have anything you needed to add on that particular project? Nothing? Negative? Okay, very good. And then that falls into Project Heavy Metal, which is the actual buyer or the tenant that's going to infill that 25 acres that the investment company ATI, which is publicly recorded, will be purchasing. Project Falcon, that is the data center project that we're working on, even though the Development Corporation is not directly involved with that. We are, and that is proceeding forward. There is still quite a bit of work to do with the 380 agreement, and some other cleaning up that needs to be done at the state level. So that is continuing on. Project Zeppelin, that's Peregrine Energy. That is a $160 million CapEx project. That is completed. That is in the city limits. The construction start got pushed out to 4Q of 27, but I have been in contact with Peregrine, and they're completely confident. They've got all their approvals from the state, and it's just now timing on getting the actual equipment built so that they can build the facility. It'll be a rather small facility. It's only going to sit on a couple of acres. The building itself is probably under 20,000 square feet in size. We have experience with the construction, the negotiations and construction of a battery energy storage facility, which we worked on in the county, sitting on the site of the Apex Angelo solar project. And that's a 100 megawatt battery energy storage facility. There's been no issues with it, no noise, no problems. No accidents, no emergencies. It's just continuing to just push power out on the grid on demand. So what that does is that takes a renewable energy project and gives it the ability to deploy dispatchable power on demand as needed. And we're going to see probably more and more of those battery energy storage facilities coming up. We do have another one that we're working on in the county outside down on 67, same company. And so we'll probably be seeing more of those this year as these companies are fulfilling. There's no mandate from the state, but there's an encouragement by the state legislature for renewable power reliant companies to have a dispatchable power component. So we also have some other projects on here that we can discuss if you have any further questions, but that kind of gives you an idea. So we've got kind of a mixture of power companies, manufacturers, and one in particular that I'd like to note. That's Project Cold Creek. That's a county deal because, as you all know, we do work for the county as well. That is it's a renewable power solar power plant. But they have another component that we've learned in the past couple of weeks. They're going to be exploring bringing on board. That would be a manufacturing component, potentially with siting in San Angelo. And that comes from their construction company that is partnering with Doral Solar on the construction of that rather large, that's almost a 400 megawatt power plant. On BRE, business retention and expansion, that's one of our 4 pillars of outreach. We have had visits and very good interactions with 15 companies. Most of those are companies that you're familiar with. I did note if it's on the list, if it says project, that means that BRE candidate is engaging with us on a go-forward expansion project. Of note, number 5, Allen's Transport, Project OTR. They're a known company. They're a Canadian heavy haul shipping company that owns a facility on Gas Plant Road, and they are working with me and with Bob on securing between 10 to 12 acres in the industrial park to go forward with what was going to be built on the Amazon site about 3 years ago. And so they're going to go forward with that project. That company has 11 employees, doing very well, and they did secure a very large contract with a national chemical manufacturer that they'd been chasing for years. And so it looks like it has materialized, but they just don't have enough room on their Gas Plant Road facility. So we're excited about the opportunity to have them retain Gas Plant, but then they would also purchase 10 to 12 acres to go forward with their plans that they probably have to have recertified, but they have full engineering plans for another distribution terminal, all internal. There's no tanks outside. It's all completely climate controlled and inside. It's good looking, very clean, very well run.
Before you leave that one,
Yeah.
is that the same? Is it an expansion of the same kind of business plan and model that they have? Or
It is. Yep. It's
a broadening.
Same thing. It
Okay.
sure is.
Thank you.
And they're also in discussions with Project Heavy Metal, which is the solar panel recycling company, to do hauling for them. The way solar panel recycling works, it's really very interesting. The solar arrays, of which there are hundreds around the country, will in real time electronically monitor the performance of the panels. And once they get down to about an 80% effective level, they will replace them. Thousands of panels per year. But they don't just ditch them. I mean, they actually, the solar panel arrays, the companies that run these arrays, like, Apex or Canadian Solar, for example, Doral, they give these panels to these, they actually pay these recyclers to take these panels off of their hands, and they do it on a per panel basis. These companies will then hire a shipper to go and retrieve them off-site. They're all prepackaged, and then take them to what we presume, we hope, we're pretty sure will be San Angelo for the recycling center. It's a national recycling center, so they'll be coming in from all over the country, including Canada. And then these companies will take these panels and pull them apart. They'll recycle the metal, the polycarbonate glass, all of the electronic internals, and all of the precious metals. That's why a mining company is performing this service. So it's the program is called the TIPS program, and this is a program that's existed for many years, enacted internally within the renewables community to prevent panels from being thrown out into the landfill. We're also in discussions with a well-known steel company, Pitts Fabrication, Pitts Oilfield Services. We've been working with them for several years, and in the past 6 months, that has accelerated. They own 21 acres that's inside the city limits, and we're working with them on pursuit of an expansion of their facility as well. With all that's happening in the oil field, and with the manufacturing of high-volume steel tanks for data centers, for their cooling systems, they too, like many of our other steel companies, have seen an uptick in business. So not just oil fields, so now they're morphing into more of a data center type support. You'll see two on here, Permian Radiator and Tricor Steel, Permian and Mesa. These are companies that we outreached to last year after the flood, right after the flood, and these were two companies that took a direct hit. That day we went to see them, the discussion quickly pivoted into help us find some place to go that doesn't flood. Both of these companies are right next to what I described a couple of months ago as a kind of an unknown ancient riverbed. And boy, they got the full brunt of it in July of last year. So Permian and Tricor are working with another project that we have that we'll probably talk about later on. Yes, that is securing 8 acres in the industrial park for one of their projects, and they're gonna work out some kind of a facility construction collaborative project, both with Permian and Tricor. VGI Snyder, this was Tech Tower. This was one that COCDC very successfully participated in a couple of years ago. They're going through yet another modification of their facility. If you haven't seen it, that's the old Sitel building. It is just a totally transformed building. Having come from the development, business back in Austin years ago, you always go into them with the hopes that you can preserve a lot of what's in there. And then once you get started on it, you start realizing you're just going to take that thing down to the bones. That's basically what they've done. I mean, they essentially kept the skeleton, the superstructure, and the shell. And the building it's really something that the community, the business community of San Angelo, I think should be really proud of. They took an old building that, frankly, guys, could have just sat out there for decades or years, mothballed, not really used to its fullest extent. But VGI Snyder, working collaboratively, they both house in the building themselves, have done just a superb job on that building. It's essentially a brand new building, beautiful building. And so what's going to happen on that is, I'm just keeping you posted that everything's real good with their COSA-DC agreement, but we are going to approach county for some assistance through a program that they have called the 312 program. And that process is underway. So it's not going to require anything from DC. The building is 90% leased, which is great. Slightly disappointing because we had several tenants that we were beginning to shuttle over towards the ownership so that they could explore leasing office space. But they alerted us about 6 months ago. They're 90%, so they don't have a whole lot left to go. And the tenants that they have, look, they have several tenants circling the smaller 5,000 square foot space they've got, and they think they've got it probably pretty well buttoned up. But if you haven't had a chance, that's an absolutely gorgeous building. And I'm really proud of what VGI and Snyder have done. Private capital, little bit of help from COSA-DC. It's just a real winner. And that also speaks to what we're going to continue to see, and that is an increase in our technology sector here in San Angelo. I mean, you can't be 3 hours away from the tech center of the United States, Austin, Texas, or at least one of them, and not feel some of those effects. And in future meetings, I'll be able to report more concrete information on those tech companies that we are in discussions with, but really haven't made any kind of solid decision to land in San Angelo, but it's coming. Okay, let's go into a couple of other. If there's any project questions, you can stop me. We can talk more about them if you want to. I will say this, that the BRE efforts have resulted in just continued really good conversations with our manufacturers and energy companies and industrial service companies. Most of them don't really need any assistance, but they like knowing what's going on in the market. To the point that we're actually going to be hosting a SARMA meeting, a manufacturers meeting on the 17th, and we're going to get those from a quarterly to a monthly, just because there's so much interest in agency collaboration amongst our manufacturers and industrial service companies. So with workforce development, workforce development also is one of the four pillars that we base our mission on. Very important, and as you all know, because you're all owners of companies, finding that skilled workforce is always a challenge. It's not just because we're in San Angelo, it's everywhere. Austin, Houston, Chicago, our colleagues in other cities in Atlanta and Tulsa are all reporting the exact same issue. Agricultural Mechanics Program. This is a program that we've supported for 5 years in collaboration with the San Angelo Stock Show, and that is conducted by Trenton Priddy, who's also a member of our Manufacturing Association. He's an officer with Miller Electric. We supported the Stock Show and Rodeo's Agricultural Mechanics Program. We do that every year. We budget for it, and that's part of a scholarship that we participate in, and we also get to participate in the event where they have young people from all over the state participating in really basically manufacturing is really what it is. And mostly it's related to farm equipment, farm implements. So there's an agricultural and manufacturing type interplay there. And so we're always pleased to support that. Probably the coolest thing is we get letters, handwritten letters from about 50 kids from all over the state, and they're already starting to flow in. We've got about 20 of them right now. And I think next meeting I might even bring a couple of examples. Just an amazing amount of gratitude for our participation and interest in what they do. And as we all probably know, the agricultural sector is struggling, and struggling because so many youngsters don't want to get into the sector. They want to go off and do something else. But there's always that real important heritage core of young people who are dedicated to farm and ranch in Texas, and we do want to support that. Concho Valley Workforce Solutions, we have participated in along with Long Industries. Long Industries is a major manufacturer in the San Angelo area. They're in county, but they've made a real big impact on our community. especially with the Concho Valley Workforce Solutions Spark Youth Career Exploration Program, which was hosted this week, also in conjunction with the Stock Show and Rodeo. I want to give a salute to Brandon O'Neill. He is the site manager out at Long Industries. Long Industries is one of the largest steel fabrication companies in Texas. Their headquarters is in Buffalo, Texas, basically kind of south of Dallas. Bob and I went and visited them a couple of years ago. They are engaged in a very substantial go-forward expansion program of their site. And they've just been tremendous supporters of the Chamber and of our Manufacturing Association. So probably a lot more is going to be coming from them. We do nudge them that we do have available land in the industrial park, and they're very aware of that. And they haven't said no to that, but right now they just haven't made that physical plant expansion. They're going to almost double the size of their current plant. And then the Texas Workforce Commission Skills for Success program, again, really strong leadership from Brandon O'Neill and his team at Long Industries. We introduced Long Industries and their regional director, Brandon O'Neill, to all of the different programs available through the Texas Workforce Commission. At one iteration, we were deeply involved in really shepherding those relationships. Brandon really set the stage for us handing the basics of the program onto him, creating a collaborative effort between Texas Workforce Commission and his company. And they have just become really a state model. And in fact, at the workshop, I've got some slides that I'll show that show him getting an award in Corpus Christi from the Texas Workforce Commission for taking those programs to their full potential. Right here in San Angelo, Texas. We won a state award for that. So we continue to talk to our BRE candidates and incoming companies about what their workforce needs are. Concho Valley Workforce Solutions, they're really an unsung hero. They do an amazing job of helping companies that we put them together with find correct and aggressive solutions on not just finding people, but also up-training those people with programs that are available through the state of Texas. And that's a program that, as we've learned by watching what Long Industries has done, is a very deep program, and it's a very helpful program for our not just new companies that are coming in or expanding, but for our existing companies. And so we've been talking with a lot of our BRE candidate companies about that, and Brandon O'Neill has been helping have those in economic sector discussions, so peer-to-peer type discussions about the benefits of those programs. Great programs. Economic development support, kind of give you a little bit of an update on that. Local Intel, this is our market analytics company that we utilize and have for many years. They're based out of British Columbia, Canada. We are working with them on an automated system for our quarterly reports. So currently and in the past, we've had to really take the raw data and kind of massage that and then input it into our rather detailed quarterly reports. And we've been working with them for about 6 months on an automated system, which is just about ready to deploy, maybe 30 days away, 40 days away, somewhere around there. And we've been talking to them every couple of weeks about how that program's going to work. San Angelo will be the first community. We're kind of the guinea pig. We're going to be the first community where they're going to have that auto deploy, which means all the different categories that we have in our quarterly reports are going to be set up through AI. There's no such thing as a speech these days without saying AI, is there? And it will auto-generate all that material in real time. The Chamber Inventors and Entrepreneurs Guild, these are meetings that Steve Elanius brought along when he joined us over a year ago. That has proven to be very successful. This is a guild that meets. It's an open forum meeting that we host at the BRC, the BRE. No, yeah, this is BRC. I confused BRC with BRE. At the BRC, Ryan's shop. And this is something that really has sparked a lot of discussion with kind of an unknown within many communities, and that is your inventors and your entrepreneurs that have ideas that aren't ready for prime time. They're not ready to be deployed to the DC, the Development Corporation, but they need some help in understanding how to formulate a solid plan, find a marketplace, and then engage the Development Corporation and be more prepared to engage with our partners over at the Small Business Development Center. The SARMA, that's the, since 2016, the San Angelo Regional Manufacturing Alliance. Again, we are taking that from a quarterly to a monthly forum. And that continues to be a very popular program. We did send out an invitation last week, and I think we've got 15 attendees registered at this time with a cutoff at 20. We try to keep it at about 20, and then as we do it monthly, people who can't make one meeting can always make the other. CVTA, Concho Valley Technology Alliance, kind of modeled after the SARMA, the Manufacturing Alliance. This is more focused on technology. That we don't run that group. We did for a while. They have just received their designation as a 501c3. Took them about a year to do that. So now it's kind of nice that we participated, members of the board of that organization, just a total grassroots organization. We use the Manufacturing Alliance as a model, and it's really taken off. They've got about 146 members. They do most of their communications through a system called Substack, and they've been very instrumental. You know, it's always good to see people in the technology sector communicating. They're different than manufacturers. They're not your typical bricks and mortars. It's all technology based. Of the 146 people who are members, most of them work for technology companies that are outside of San Angelo, way outside, or even outside the state, but yet they have employment and they stay here in San Angelo. So those dollars continue to infill our economy, yet it's with employers that are, in Seattle, Boston, Atlanta, Georgia. That organization has been instrumental in helping us understand and communicate with not just tech companies that we're discussing potential location plans with, but also with 2 of the data centers that we've been in discussions with, helping us understand what the San Angelo community can do to support those operations once they are operational. And also we're involved with GSLI. This is another service. This is a Global Site Location International. We've been members of them since 2014. This is a guild that is a site selector and site location organization that is national. They're based out of Dallas, Texas. We have weekly Zoom calls with them. And basically it's a lead source. So they collate information from site selectors. They have a staff of 4 people. They attend trade shows. And if we can't attend a trade show, sometimes we do go with them. Like we went with them in 2023 to Modex in Chicago. But they will send us those leads, and they just turn us loose on those companies. It's not like one of those situations where we submit information and then they kind of broker the deal. They give us the contacts and let us have direct communication with the actual lead sources, which is a little bit different than the leads that we get from the governor's office, their economic development office with the state, where we'll submit requests for information, but we really have no idea who the company is, or certainly nobody we can talk to other than the agent at the state who's just shuttling mass amounts of potential site information to these companies. And that can become very laborious because we've sent out a lot of RFIs in the past to the state's economic development office, not knowing who the company is, what they really do, what they really need, because we can't have a conversation with them. Sometimes they won't even reveal very much information to the agents at the state, but yet we still submit that information. Oftentimes, those requests for information are gathered and utilized by companies, say in Arizona. It's an actual example where they were trying to renegotiate a very large incentives package with their home community in Arizona, but they needed comps, they needed comparables. And so that's what we like about GSLI, is that they vet these out and make sure that they're not They can't guarantee it, but they make sure that this isn't just a fishing expedition. And a lot of economic developers around the state can spend a lot of time, and sometimes do, on just sending mass amounts of information. Sometimes it's sensitive information, but it's been requested, so you want to comply with the request, and you're just helping some company in Ohio renegotiate their deal with the city of Akron, just as an example. And so we're kind of cautious about that, because we don't want to spend all of our time just pumping out information to help some broker renegotiate a deal in another state, and we never had any chance of seeing them in the first place, so we're aware of that. The Chamber's Economic Summit, which was on February the 17th, how many did we have there? 170 people? 76? That was a wonderful event. That was another brainchild of our own Steve Elanius. This was a summit of economic manufacturers, energy service companies, and power supply companies. Very successful, and we've already had, our plan is to do it annually, but we've already had calls from several of the attendees that it needs to be done twice a year. Our keynote speaker was Kelly Hancock, the state comptroller, and we had tremendous support from several of our companies, local companies. ALNC Steel came in really strong. They're based in the county, but they're still a San Angelo company. That's where their workforce is located. And then several of our renewables companies came to the fore. A lot of excitement about what's happening in San Angelo as we become more and more of a hub where we have a foot both in the oil sector with a lot of our 80% of our manufacturing, but yet also power generation coming from renewables, and that's almost 90% solar. MPO TAC, I don't know, but if you all know, but for many years I've sat on the Metropolitan Planning Organization Technical Advisory Committee. Steve sits on the board, and this is a transportation, TxDOT, and municipal-based organization where we understand roadway, highway construction, timing, and really a lot of the work that's done by the MPO is research that is submitted to TxDOT to compel them to appropriate funding for overpasses, highway widening, with a heavy focus on I-27. Media Advantage, this is a company that you're all familiar with because the DC does contract with them as well. They have been excellent to work with. We've had a good experience with the work on our data, not just our data that is embedded into our websites, but also with marketing materials. And one of the things that I'm really gotten a lot of traction off of is the Moves That Matter podcast, which we do usually weekly. Sometimes we'll skip a week if we need to. But that has been very popular. And that was something that we came up with about a year ago, the idea of having a podcast where we usually we have a guest and we'll talk about just what's happening with the economy of San Angelo. And so those have been very popular, and we get a lot of hits on those. We get a lot of people watching it and then calling us, usually manufacturers, asking us more deep questions. So really, it's kind of it's information, but it's also a way of us, I think, in a very relaxed, constructive, organic way, getting the message out that we, as a collective, Chamber and DC, are here to help our local manufacturers, fabricators, and energy service companies to thrive. And then finally, Texas Economic Development Corporation. This is a pretty high-level organization that we had never been members of, really just due to cost. But with the support of the Development Corporation, we've gone whole hog on involvement with them. I will be attending the Site Selectors Guild Conference March 23rd through 25th in Atlanta, Georgia. The Select USA, which is also a Site Selectors Guild conference in Maryland, and then we're going to be attending their board meeting in May. And so we're really getting very deeply involved with that organization, and we've been very pleased with the results at this time. On personnel, we are now receiving we have received several very aggressive, interested, and qualified submissions. And several of those have come from ASU, which we're delighted to see for the position that we have open at the Chamber's Economic Development Office. In the meantime, though, Steve, who is a experienced economic developer himself, and Crystal Glaspie, who's also joining us today, and also another staffer, Carter Rowe, who is also a chamber staffer, have been really flexing a lot of muscle and showing a lot of ability to help with projects that kind of need that extra attention, more from a marketing and advertising type outreach with messaging. And so we don't feel like there's any strain to fill those gaps, so we want to find the right person for that position. And so far, I think we've got some really good candidates. So we feel really confident in where we're going and what we're doing. We've got a good full pipeline. And any other questions?
Questions, comments?
You mentioned the position that you guys are looking to fill.
Yes.
Can you just discuss broadly what kind of responsibilities you're looking for that position?
That is why writing it was a little. It took a little while because it's so dynamic. And,
Yes.
and yes, we have to have a focus. You don't want to just throw somebody in and say, hey, pivot instantly all the time. It's going to be marketing and outreach. It's going to be arranging all of the different meetings that we conduct. It's going to be follow-up with BRE. There will be some follow-up with different departments of the companies that we're working on recruiting to San Angelo. We found that to be very useful because you can't always answer every phone call. And it's going to be we need somebody who's rather charismatic and likes to talk to people. Not that we didn't have that before, but that's something that is very important because a lot of what we do is storytelling. It is telling the story about San Angelo, where we are and where we're going as an economy, and what kind of support is available to these companies that oftentimes are aware of some kind of development corporation or even county or chamber support systems, but they don't know much about it. And so we find that those constant touches, very, very constant touches. I mean, we'll make 200 last month we did 280 outreach phone calls. Now they weren't all with different companies, but we're always working with our existing manufacturers for two reasons. One, we want to let them know and keep them focused on growing their company or expanding their workforce or training their workforce. And as you all probably know, because you've been in it, it's one of those things where we stay on them and we call them, not to pester them, but just to help keep them focused. We almost deputize ourselves as kind of their focus on doing these tasks that you get to the factory or you get to the office at 7:30 in the morning and you forget that that's something that keeps getting bumped down the list over and over again. So we act as really kind of a shepherd to keep that discussion going, and sometimes we'll even go so far as arranging those meetings with workforce development or with development corporation personnel or SBDC personnel. And then the second thing is, it's always impressive to me how many external recruitment leads and touch points come from our existing industrial base. I'd have to say probably half of the recruitments that we've done have been relationships or friendships that the existing manufacturers have with external suppliers. And so that's something that we really have to find that very unique individual. And I think the most important thing, which with several of the candidates that we're now talking to, is just a sheer interest in it. And that was the first thing that we wanted to know. Are you interested? Is it interesting to you? I'm sure you can do the job, but are you interested in municipal and community development? And that takes a special kind of a mindset to do that kind of work. You have to love your community and you have to care about people. And so, yes, it is progressing well.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else?
I think we're good. Appreciate that.
Very good. Thank you all for your support.
Thank you,
Great
Michael.
information. And that was a non-action item, just an information item. So we'll go into closed session. Executive session under the provision of Government Code Title V, Open Government Ethics, Subtitle A, Open Government, Chapter 551, Open Meetings, Subchapter D, exceptions to requirements that meetings be open under the following sections. Item A, Section 551.087, Business Prospect Negotiations regarding True Lightning Protection LLC and Project Heavy Metal. Also, item B, Section 551072, deliberations about real property regarding sale of 8.5 plus or minus acres in the industrial park to DLH Real Estate LLC. We will go into executive session on March 11th, 2026 at 9:11 a.m. It is 9:36 a.m. on Wednesday, March 11th, 2026. We will come out of executive closed session. We'll move into follow-up and administrative issues, consideration and possible action of items discussed in closed session. We have none. Announcement and consideration of future agenda items. Do we have any future agenda item suggestions? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 8, which is adjournment, and then we will move over to the BRC for our workshop.
Steve,
Go ahead.
do you want to talk about next meeting, extending it to the following? You mentioned you wanted to reschedule the next board meeting from the current, what is it, April the 15th to maybe the 22nd?
Oh, right, I think we had clarified that it actually was on the 8th, correct? Thank you, Ryan.
Oh, is it on the 8th?
Wednesday is the 8th.
Yeah, we had four Wednesdays in
Okay.
April, so I just
So-
need
so it's the
clarification.
Yeah, April 8th is the day of the
Okay.
meeting.
So our next Costa DC meeting will be April 8th.
Okay.
Thank you, Ryan. So with that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion from Director Stribling, second from Director Laster. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned, 9:38 a.m.